Good evening and welcome along to Myreside, a very picturesque Myreside on this sunny summer's evening. And there you are, it's an Edinburgh derby you're tuned in to watch this evening in the FOSROC Super Series Championship. Of course, round 3, and Watsonians flying high at the top of the table after victories over the Southern Knights and another win through at Alloway against Ayrshire Bulls are taking on a Boroughmuir side who've suffered an Edinburgh derby defeat so far this season in the opening weekend, but recovered comfortably with a 59-36 win over the FOSROC Futures side. So we're eagerly anticipating a thoroughly entertaining 80 minutes, and I have to say that the first glimpse I had of Myreside a year ago was of a very parched, dry pitch because of that incredibly dry July that we enjoyed, depending on how you like the warm, dry weather. But the pitch this evening in absolutely excellent condition. I'm delighted to say that alongside me to describe the action over the next 80 minutes is the former Edinburgh back, former Scotland Sevens internationalist Tom Brown. Tom, nice to see you again.
Great to see you, and thank you very much for having me. It's good to be here, and after playing a couple of seasons and enjoying this fixture, I know it's a tasty one, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, these sides are ready and waiting in their respective changing rooms. Let's take a look first of all at the Watsonian side. Matt Reid back from Scotland under-20s duties. He slots in at full-back. Scott King moves to the right wing from the centre. And as well, Tom, you've got the strength and the half-back partnership of Murdo McAndrew and Jason Baggett. Baggett, of course, a vice-captain, but both know each other so well from their time, even way back when they played for Melrose. But they've been really the backbone of the creative side that Nicky Walker has put together in recent times.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jason Baggett brings a huge amount of experience there. Murdo as well, being involved in the Edinburgh setup. But Jason Baggett's been a classy player for the past few seasons in the FOSROC Super Series. So it'll be a good game for him and for him to show his authority.
One or two injuries, we understand quite long-term injuries within the Watsonians camp, so they have had to rejig personnel. So it will be interesting, not only this evening but over the course of the next couple of weeks, to see just how strong the squad is overall.
Yeah, definitely. I think you mentioned Scott King moving to the wing. Last time I watched him, he was playing at 12, and he performed very well there. So it'll be interesting to see how this back three perform.
Take a look then at the visitors. Of course, made that relatively short journey, and quite a bit of attention and excitement given to their 10, George Paul. And we were just doing a little bit of background research on George Paul, and he was one of the standout players last weekend. He'll relish an opportunity like this again to play with Rory Swan and to show his creative edge for Graham Shull and his side. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing how Paul performs. There's a bit of a revolving door of 10s at Boroughmuir. When I was there, we had Tom Pittman and Jack Bergen and Harry Mercer in former years. So Rory Swan is more of a consistent character, but it'll be interesting to see how that pairing performs tonight.
Yeah, and you can just see the players making their way out of the changing rooms. Watsonians in the maroon jerseys with the white trims around the shoulders, and Boroughmuir in that checked navy blue and green. And you see that the players lined up. This is to remember, it's a minute's applause to acknowledge and remember the contribution of Malcolm Molly Hunter, a beloved Watsonians club member who sadly passed away last night. So those inside Myreside just taking a moment to recognise the contribution made to the game of rugby union by Malcolm Molly Hunter, who passed away last night, and our thoughts very much with Malcolm's family and friends ahead of what will be a difficult time ahead. Johnny Perriam is the match referee. Now the officials, David Young and David Chang Leng. We've got a glimpse of the officials. The sun then beginning to lower in the sky as it does. Of course, Edinburgh is a pretty congested city at the moment with the festival now well and truly underway. But this an opportunity on a fine Friday night for an excellent 80 minutes ahead.
I think it will be quite interesting. I know they're not playing at Megaland tonight, but there's a bit of a breeze going down into the bottom right-hand corner, so it'll be interesting to see if that plays a part in tonight's match.
Away we go then. Johnny Perriam with the signal. Boroughmuir will look on rushing in there. Neil Irvin Hess captaining this Watsonian side, looking to secure ball, but Boroughmuir will look to try and inflict a bit of damage early on to a Watsonian side flying high. Of course, enjoyed in the spring of 2022 a spring series win. They've certainly been moving in the right direction, but so too Boroughmuir. The second half of the last campaign showed some improvement for Graham Sheila and his side, but an early indicator of how the sun may be affecting those dealing with that, the high up and unders, as we've got the first scrum inside the opening minute. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough test for Boroughmuir tonight, but going into this match, I think one thing that we always spoke about was getting the simple things done right. So that was unfortunate, a bit of miscommunication maybe in the backfield there, a little bit of a doubt of who was taking that ball. But if they can cut out these little errors and not let Watsonians creep into this match and just do their basics well, then they've definitely got a chance.
Willie Swan slotting in at 9 for Boroughmuir. Alongside him is Murdo McAndrew. Penalty awarded then to Watsonians before Murdo McAndrew could enter the ball into the scrum. Jason Baggett will already know what the options are, and the preferred option is to go for the corner. So there's the penalty at the scrummage conceded by Boroughmuir. Johnny Perriam straight up with the arm, and Baggett very quickly down into that Boroughmuir 22, providing the throw-in platform.
Yeah, not an area of expertise on my part, but we just saw kind of Luca kind of crumbling there. He's a young guy, an exciting young player. He's a big lad as well. So early mistake, but I'm sure he'll make up for that.
Jake Kerr with the throw-in, early stages for him with Carl Davis on the bench, and Davis has been one of the most consistent performers really since the inception of the Super 6 competition in the autumn of 2019. Boroughmuir looking to try and launch onto that loose ball there, but Watsonians just got them hemmed in just at the moment.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. We just spoke about getting those basic things done correctly, and they did well to steal that line out. But next job is just getting that exit right, and just a small error there. We knock on, just kind of allowing Watsonians possession back, which is unfortunate because it was a good steal in the line out initially.
Is that one of the Boroughmuir players just across on that far side, requiring a little bit of treatment, I think, to perhaps the neck and the shoulder. So a little stoppage in play at the moment. As you can see him just getting all duking the attention there. Arthur Allen in the front row with Luca Alessandri, of course, ex-Cartha Queen's Park, and Martin McGinley, who is one of the evergreen players in that Boroughmuir side. He's thoroughly experienced tight head prop, and he slots in beside Allen and Alessandri in the front row, packing down for Boroughmuir this evening. But back to the action, back to a set piece, and it's back ball in hand with Murdo McAndrew looking to feed the ball in inside, as you see that Boroughmuir 22 this summer evening at Myreside. McAndrew then feeding the ball in, works his way round towards the back of the scrum through the hands of Baggett on there was Scott King just peeling off his wing. Boroughmuir, you can see they're strung across their own try line now as Watsonians spin that loose ball out towards the left hand side. Freddie Olsley had to reach up there and he couldn't run onto the pass. He's springing up off the steps of his the balls of his feet there as Neil Irvin Hess takes the ball into contact. It's recycled again. On goes Jake Kerr. Kerr is floored. Still, you see, deep inside that 22. Back they come for a Boroughmuir infringement, a Watsonians penalty. And the home side have started promisingly. Boroughmuir straying offside. Watsonians and Baggett will look to try and turn the screw, but that was a near thing there. Boroughmuir had a defensive line strung across their own try line there. The long loop pass from Baggett did found Olsley, but he would want to try and come onto that ball at pace rather than spring up in the air and gather it, and then from a standing start try and take on this Boroughmuir defence. We'll get the thoughts of Tom Brown again in a second as we watch this Watsonians line out. Now they try and get the drive on here with Jake Kerr just in behind, and they've managed to power their way across the line. Again, great determination shown by those in the front row, and Kerr coming in from that sort of typical role of a hooker when the line out is so close to the opposition line. Well, watch this again. He springs round. The hard work was done there by Lewis Ball, who stays upright, with Van Niekerk just in behind, opening a platform for the hooker to spring through for the score. And it's 5-0 to Watsonians inside 5 minutes.
Yeah, going back to the initial scrum, it was a good first phase attack with Pringle running a good line. I thought he was under the post, but going wide to Freddie, it was probably just a wee bit of an inaccurate pass in terms of Baggy's ability, but you know, we just Boroughmuir just need to keep their discipline, because Watsonians going into that corner, they'll take that all day, and with a big experienced physical pack, they're tough to stop from that distance.
Baggett from out wide. Crowd like it. The assistants raising their flags. A converted try then for Watsonians, and inside 6 minutes they have a 7-0 lead courtesy of the try from Jake Kerr and the conversion from that man on the screen, the fly half there, Jason Baggett. 7 points to 0. Boroughmuir then will be eager to get this match back underway and strike next as the floated restart is gathered there. Van Niekerk was up to try and secure possession of the ball for Watsonians. They pick and go down their right hand side just by that 10. Boroughmuir looking to try and get the steal on. Knocked forward by Watsonians' hands there. A little glance to the heavens as Murdo McAndrew gets back to his feet, and an opening suddenly for Boroughmuir inside Watsonians' territory with this chance to perhaps test the Watsonians' defence. It'll be interesting to see how this plans out.
Yeah, good attacking opportunity for Boroughmuir here, but just noting Josh King with his ever presence in the breakdown there, making himself a nuisance. I think he he got his head in a dark place there, and he forced the knock on. So good work from Josh King at number 6 for Boroughmuir Bears there.
Rudy Swan then, first opportunity for Swan to feed the ball into this Boroughmuir scrum. McAndrew on the screen just alongside him. Penalty this time going the way of Boroughmuir. So penalty has been awarded to the side looking to feed the ball into the scrum, and it's immediately back with George Paul as we see the scrummage once more. And the referee Johnny Perry very quick to signal the Watsonians infringement on that 10-metre line. And again, Paul will line up this kick down into the 22. So Boroughmuir creeping further down into Watsonians' territory, trailing by 7 points to 0. But Graham Shield will be mindful that this is the sort of platform they will want to try and exploit.
Yeah, it's a shame they didn't get a little bit more distance on that kick there. They want to get more into the corner to really put pressure on this Watsonians pack. But good to see Martin McGinley packing down. I think we mentioned he was a bit of a scrum specialist, so good to see him picking up that penalty there.
Arthur Allen's throw just towards the back of the line. A clean win for Boroughmuir. Allen then joins in on the edge of that 22. And in they go. It's back with Allen. He's got the ball, you see, tucked under that right arm and looking for some forward direction now. And again, that was a good piece of line-out play from Josh King who is up at the back of that line. Watsonians looking to try and hold things up there. Craig Keddy right in the thick of it. That pass forcing the inside centre, Scott Robertson, the co-captain, to go sliding down to try and gather just by his feet. The referee though will bring play back to the left-hand side of the 22 as we see the pass again from the scrum half Swan.
Yeah, just a bit of a shame there. You know, I think Scott can make that pass a little bit easier for Swanee. Just by bringing himself in a bit and getting a bit closer to the 9, but with a free ball opportunity there, you want to be having a bit of a crack, and you know, you're always going to come back for that penalty. So again, we're speaking about the basics, but it's still an opportunity here. They're now in the corner, so you know, good chance for the Bears. So
good bit of territory this for Boroughmuir, trailing after Jake Kerr opened the scoring from a line out, a similar sort of distance. I think there's a call for another ball to make its way onto the pitch. Well, it's now in possession of Arthur Allen, and this will be a throw in here for Boroughmuir. You see how close they are at the moment to this Watsonians line. 5 out from the line towards the middle portion of the line out. Allen goes in, he's forced sideways though. Watsonians looking to try and disrupt in the line. Reinforcements now coming in green and dark blue. And it looks as if it's Allen that's going to try and recycle here as they continue to go forward. Josh King, blindside flanker, still right in the thick of the action as Rudy Swan goes in once more. Ball could well be played here by Jack Fisher. It's picked up in the option. Fisher over the ball at the moment. Will be mindful of what's round about him. The scrum half just in behind all. Boroughmuir forward play at the moment. Josh King again trying to supply some bulk. Fisher, the lock forward, goes in once more with that distinctive scrum cap. Little pod of 3 just towards that right hand side. Back it comes this time to the co-captain Keddy. Out to Swan, the winger. Now a little bit of opportunity there for the scrum half to spread it out towards the wing. Watsonians looking to try and seal off the ball there, but it comes back again to Loboda, who's in the second row with Jack Fisher this evening. Still with the scrum half Swan, having used some width here. Back it comes again to Paul at fly half. Still the fringes of the 22. Swan has it once more on towards Paul. They'll lead the pass to slightly there to Robertson to make it a smooth move. Lovely pass, little 1-2 involving the inside centre, and Alex Tom, the outside centre, linking up with the winger Joe Jenkins. A 1-2 between Tom and Jenkins, and the two just picked each other out there perfectly. Left wing onto outside centre, back they go, and Boroughmuir in for a score which will bring them back to within 2 points. Excellent work initially from Robertson, then out towards Tom, the outside centre, and it was in fact Mason Cullen, I should say, who was involved in that move rather than Joe Jenkins, and Cullen and Tom linking up very well indeed to bring Boroughmuir back to within 2 points.
That was a really good piece of play. We spoke about that free ball. Boroughmuir making the most of it this time. Really good line from Scott Robson, and some good finishing, some good hands on the outside there. And Joe Jenkins finishing it off. Is just such a consistent player for Boroughmuir. I was going to say, you know, when the Boroughmuir were attacking that line, the forwards just need to come onto it. They were a bit static initially, but well played by the backs to finish that off.
Yeah, nice 1-2 involving the backs. Graham Shaw will be very satisfied with that as we watch on now. George Paul, we mentioned, selected in a team of the week last weekend. That's a fine conversion from the angle. Certainly do his confidence no harm at all. And this Edinburgh derby with 12.5 minutes on the clock is level pegging. Watsonians 7, Boroughmuir 7.
Yeah, best response from Boroughmuir there. I know that Graham will be happy to see. I know he wants to play that kind of expansive game, and he wants the backs to unleash. So also being down in that 22, not being afraid to play the backs as well. So some good play there.
Kick certainly just going long a little bit too much on that, as the players will come back towards halfway. So a little bit of frustration perhaps creeping into the Watsonians game just momentarily as the sides are level. As you see, with 13 minutes of the first half gone, it's 7 points all.
Yeah, we mentioned that wind as well. It looks like it might have died down, but when I left Edinburgh tonight, there's definitely a bit of a stiff breeze, you know, an uncharacteristic error there from Baggy, but maybe that just got caught up in the wind there. But good opportunity for Boroughmuir. They need to make the most of this opportunity.
And the platform is the scrum on halfway. Rudy Swan readies himself to feed the ball in. A few more spectators just heading to their seats at the moment, as a few standing just pitch side as well, watching the action. From Perriam, the referee, not happy with the scrummage, so it will be a reset on that halfway line. This little footnote on George Paul while we watch this scrum reset. Studied sports business management, obviously has an eye for a business opportunity with some of his ventures away from the rugby field, but I do wonder if he may well be distantly related to Arthur George Paul, who was part of the very first overseas tour in 1888, the British Isles side that went down to New Zealand and Australia. But it's just one of those more unusual names that there might be a history there between the current George and the George of 1888.
Yeah, maybe. Wish I could help you out there, Stuart, but we might need to do a bit of Google searching.
Yeah, I'm sure if we inquired about his family tree, you might be able to give us an answer as we watch that grubber kick make its way down towards the edge of the 22. But you touched on it at the build-up to the start of the match, that sort of revolving door that has been the 10 jersey for Boroughmuir. But the early stages of this game, he certainly appears to be a player, George Paul, with a great deal of confidence.
Definitely, I think just looking at, it was a play just done there, but it was a sensible play. It was a mature play. I think when Boroughmuir had some joy in last season, we had Jack Bergen there, and he just made such a difference in terms of his game management. So I really like what I'm seeing. Obviously, Team of the Week last week as well. So obviously Paul has a bit about him. So it'll be interesting to see the battle between the two tens here. But Boroughmuir just winning a penalty, which is a good outcome for them, obviously, in a bit of afters, which is always great.
Yeah, typical sort of Edinburgh Derby afters. Slightly frayed tempers there as the Watsonians players just backing away now.
It's the usual Craig Keddy there, CK the captain, getting involved with Jack Fisher closely behind him. Don't think Jack's making too much of an impact, but he just likes lurking around there.
Of course, we talked about the revolving door of different selections at 10 in relatively recent times. Craig Keddy has been a firm fixture for such a long time. You think back to even 2015 when he would captain the Boroughmuir side to a pretty emphatic win that day against Hoyk in the cup final at Murrayfield. So he has had a long association with the club.
Yeah, he has, and he's after playing with CK for a few years, he's such a team leader there and a real rock in that side. So I know he was looking at his options at the end of last year, so it's just great to see him still at the club and performing week in, week out.
Josh King receiving the ball in the line out there as Boroughmuir ready themselves to recycle. No box kick option, just bringing the forwards in on that 10-metre line. Boroughmuir close towards the main stand. So those front seats at Myreside. Box kick this time from Rory Swan. High up and under, will carry halfway. It's contested by both clubs there, and Boroughmuir have been able to gain some ground, winning the high up and under. The duel taken on again by McGinley. Rolls back and feeds Swan with the pass. Swan out towards that right hand side. Now it's back in field. Boroughmuir again, just over halfway as you see. And Swan has it once more. Looking at options. Paul just infield. Watsonians on the defensive at the moment. Swan again. Looking at the forwards and the second and back rows coming through there. That was Max Loboda with the carry. And back they go into their own half again. Ball goes loose. Picked up there by Watsonians there. Seb Cecil was in a good position and then pinged deep inside that 22. There's a lot on that kick again, and that's going to go beyond the dead ball line. And once more the referee will bring play back up towards halfway. So no question that a couple of times where Watsonians have elected to kick downfield, it's gone a little longer than was originally intended.
Yeah, maybe that's that wind playing that part. But really good to see from Boroughmuir. I think it's in days of old, that exit. They maybe looked to play off, but well executed, retained the ball there. What I like to see, I think the next part of the Bears kind of evolution, and I thought Paul was kind of lining up for a wee kick, wee dinking behind at the end of that, but when we start to go a little bit static on the halfway, it's kind of then what are the options? You know, can we put that ball, or can Boroughmuir start to put that ball back in behind? And it looked like Paul was looking at the option, played it back inside, and that's when the ball was kind of lost. But you know, that's probably the next part of the Bears game, is that game management. If they're looking like they're going static within that middle part of the field, you know, what are the options after that?
Yeah, I'm sure that Graham will certainly be looking at that, as you say, part of the development programme, looking to climb the table with the 7 sides starting, of course, the competition this time around, one of them being the FOSROC future side, being added to the original 6, which of course started out back in 2019 with that season which didn't quite reach its conclusion, was curtailed and then halted in March of 2020. Since then, Ayrshire Bulls, Watsonians, Southern Knights have all at various times enjoyed success, getting to semi-finals and finals of the knockout stages and lifting some silverware. Some of those sides mentioned, as it's taken on by Allen again. Boroughmuir gaining ground. Nevada again with a good carry, lock forward, out through the hands. Paul out towards the right hand side. Coming up was Muirhead, just supporting the winger, Mason Cullen over on that far side. Another penalty decision given against Watsonians. Craig Creddy applauding the efforts of his teammates there as we get to see this move again. And once more, Boroughmuir looking to try and ship the ball out wide, with Muirhead coming up supporting the player on the wing.
Yeah, no, all the momentum seems to be on the Bears side at the moment. I thought there was an opportunity just off that scrum midfield, and it went to the left, and Scotty, as he does really well, you know, put up the jumper and carried really hard, but I felt like there was an opportunity just to get that through the hands. It looked like they had a little bit of an overlap on Joe Jenkins' side, but anyway, a good outcome, and it'll be interesting to see what the Bears do from here.
Yeah, again, just on the edge of the 22 with the throw-in. Allen once more. Now some movement in the line. One there by Jack Fisher. Fisher remains upright. Ball back now with Arthur Allen. Allen has been helped up towards the edge of that 22, moving the ball from right to left. Now he tries to peel away, runs into loose Ball, who springs off. Ball is able to bring down the hooker for Boroughmuir as they recycle ball again. Picked up this time by Rory Swan. And with some determination, Boroughmuir Swan has it once more. Inside centre is Scott Robertson, one of the co-captains. Ball goes loose. Again, players like Freddie Osley were available to come off the wing there. Osley back in the picture with that black and white scrum cap. Gets back into position. Referee allowed play to continue there. Watsonians moving offside. There is Freddie Osley, of course, one of the many players with some pro experience. Boroughmuir planting the ball down in that 22. I think the tee's been called for, so this is an opportunity for them to take 3 points, take the lead for the first time in the game after the opening quarter has come and gone.
Yeah, Boroughmuir are holding on to the ball well here. I don't mind that option from Scott there. Obviously, you know, he's had a few big carries, you know, in the first 20 minutes. So, you know, I know the defence will be watching out for that. But with the free ball, just to put the ball in behind and just see where it ends up. It's a 50-50 ball there. You know, obviously Freddie cleaned it up very well, but a good opportunity for Boroughmuir to go ahead here.
And the thoughts of Tom Brown, who knows a thing or two about these Edinburgh Derby matches. Watching on now as George Paul, fine conversion from out wide to level the game at 7-all, and a clean strike, but just back off the uprights there, so we were preparing him for a further 3 points. Yeah, just a wee shake of the head there at 7 points all. We'll get to see the kick once again. Relatively short run up, and just, I think it brushed off that left hand post and went the wrong side of the post there. So it remains a game all square at 7 points all with the restart inside the 22. Again, some depth on the kick. Jenkins is able to gather for Boroughmuir. They'll try and run it up towards halfway. Swan goes in again. Recycled through the hands there of Loboda, out towards the right hand side, but a pace injected by Scott Robertson, and that comes to nothing before Boroughmuir can really get back into the Watsonians half. Their handling just letting them down. 23 minutes on the clock. No change in the scoreline. It remains a level pegging game at 7 points all.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think you know, kind of looking 1 minute ago, we're looking at it was we were guaranteed. We thought it was going to be 10-7 to Boroughmuir after kind of turning things around early on in this play, and now Watsonians have a scrum a minute later in the Boroughmuir half. But you know, I think Paul was disappointed at that. I think he's a better player than that. You know, he's had a good start. He needs to kind of shake that off and go on with the next job now.
I think Boroughmuir as well will want to sort of shake off the disappointment of that sort of capitulation against Heriots in the opening weekend. 51 points to 14. Of course, coming back, scoring 59 points against the FOSROC Future side. Watsonians with 2 wins under their belts, 40 points to 26 over Southern Knights, and away at Millbrae defeating Ayrshire Bulls, which is no mean feat, by 11 points to 3. So this just an early indicator of how Boroughmuir can bounce back, and if Watsonians can remain consistent and find a way to win this game as well. McAndrew then picks up at the base of the scrum, looks for a little bit of movement, finds it there from Lewis Berg, who works his way up with determination. Tackled there by Alex Tom, the Boroughmuir try scorer. Back it comes though to Lewis Ball, takes the ball into contact and is tackled by Westlake, the Boroughmuir number 8. Steal from the visiting side, and away they go once more. Labada looking at a dangerous proposition in the position of lock forward along with Jack Fisher. Boroughmuir again, grubber kick to give chase. Back just on the edge of the 22. Matt Reid launches it forward, of course on Scottish under-20s duty, so he's back facing some familiar foes in the form of Boroughmuir in this FOSROC Friday night fixture. And it's straightforward Route 1 stuff there for Boroughmuir as they find touch just outside of the 22. And the assistant there, David Young, raising the flag. The kick out from George Paul. The line out will go the way of Watsonians. 25 minutes gone, 7-all.
Yeah, it was a good initial work from Scott Robson there. Again, winning that turnover, I felt like there's an opportunity to keep the ball in hand there again. You know, they seem to be on the attack with Watsonians players retreating, but obviously opted for the kick in behind, which was cleaned up nicely by Watsonians there.
The scrum half now, McAndrew taking over possession of the ball. Baggett out towards Scott King on the right hand side again. Move just breaking down as Watsonians were looking to bring Matt Reid into place there as they shipped the ball quickly out wide. Baggett just positioning himself to take the pass from his scrum half and then ship it on very quickly out towards the wing. Both sides trying to use width through the hands to good effect here. That move breaking down there for Watsonians, so we'll come back for a set piece just outside that Boroughmuir 22.
Yeah, you can see how dangerous Watsonians are when they've got the ball in hand. I think it was just a kind of simple dummy play there, and the ball was in behind to King, who found a bit of space, and I feel that they had a huge amount of space there. Unfortunately, Reid just taking his eye off the ball, but I feel like if that went to hand, it was definitely dangerous territory there for the Bears.
Oliver and Hess, the Watsonians captain, just about to pat down in the number 8, supporting a very short cropped cut as Boroughmuir have the feed into the scrum. A little bit of movement there, they're able to pick up and go and swing around from the base of the scrum just on the edge of their 22. Swan goes in once more, looking for a little bit of movement supplied there by Craig Keddy on that right hand side, and then Cullen and the referee signalling the infringement as the ball worked its way out towards the Boroughmuir winger on that right hand side. Immediately the referee signalling the penalty for a high challenge as we get to see this again. So the carry initially from Keddy, receiving it from Fisher, and then Baggett's challenge. Cullen was beginning to go down and drop from his height. Baggett mindful that he was grabbing Cullen around that shoulder area, and certainly apologising to the player and to Johnny Perriam, the referee.
Yeah, I think Baggy got away with that, to be honest. You know, you're looking at in the pro game how sensitive that area is at the moment. You know, obviously we're lucky we can sit here with replay, but it definitely looked high and around that shoulder area. So I'd say Jason Baggett got away with one there.
Throw into Arthur Allen and Boroughmuir, who back inside the Watsonians half. Plenty of height in that throw. Lobada again wins ball. Keddy on there towards Scott Robinson. Fine running here by Boroughmuir up into the 22, and Robinson still carrying ball. They look to pick and go again. Keddy with tremendous determination, looking for players just to mop up and continue the forward momentum. Jack Fisher now, lock forward, takes it on. Watsonians scrambling around, looking to organise a defensive line of cover inside their own 22 just now. The momentum of the move has dropped just ever so slightly, but it's still with Boroughmuir at the moment. 7 points all, approaching the half-hour mark on this Friday night at Myreside. Taken on by Josh King, blindside flanker. Mocked up once again. Boroughmuir getting closer towards that 5 metre line and closer towards the posts as they reverse it back out wide. Long look pass out there to Paul. Cullen is able to dance his way over the line, but I think the referee had raised the arm because Cullen found himself in some space there, thought he was in for a try, but very quickly realised the referee had other ideas. As we watch the movement again, but once more Watsonians doing similar things. Simple half-back partnership, and in the long look pass we've seen Baggett deliver these passes so far in the half. This time it was his opposite number Paul out towards the right winger, but nothing doing for Boroughmuir on this occasion.
Yeah, that was a real shame. Really good drills from the Bears there. All started from that from the line out. I know that Alex Toulis has been working hard with the line out drills there. So really good delivery from Arthur Allen, and then a great line from Scott Robson. As we've mentioned, he's been very, very busy in these opening stages, but a really good run. And then nice to see, you know, Boroughmuir, they went for it. They could have easily stuck it up the jumper and used the forwards there, you know, with 5 metres to go, but you know, they changed direction, they used the backs, and it was just unfortunate that it just crept forward a little bit there.
Yeah, forward pass, the reason that Cullen was unable to dot the ball down over the line, and the reason we're now watching both sets of forwards packed down for another scrummage. 10 minutes until the interval. Been a lively first half hour of this match, and we were anticipating a fine contest and an even one as well. Boroughmuir certainly have enjoyed quite a bit of territory in the last 10-15 minutes or so, certainly since getting back in level terms.
Yeah, it's important here that they stay clean here. They're not giving away any penalties and any easy outs to Watsonians and keeping them down here, but a good carry there from Neil Irvin Hess, and they've got a little bit of joy out of that scrum already.
Mosley on to McAndrew. McAndrew with a cheeky right foot kick there, the kick and chase, and suddenly play goes from more or less 122 down very close to the other. David Changlin raising the flag. There was the pass from Irvin Hess. Mosley coming off his wing, finding McAndrew. McAndrew watching what was in front of him, trying to feed the ball down the tram lines there, which he did with some success, bouncing into touch and takes Boroughmuir back with the throw in closer towards their 22 than to their 10.
Yeah, that's a really good outcome from Watsonians. We just kind of spoke about Boroughmuir keeping the pressure on Watsonians there and not giving them an easy out, but I feel that it was a good carry from the number 8 Neil Irvin Hess. Always a good ball carrier, but the Bears needed to do a little bit better there just to keep the pressure on them and force Watsonians to exit under a little bit more pressure.
Boroughmuir then looking to go on the front foot once again as it's back now towards Swan, able to feed the forwards again, just taking it in turns to carry. Josh King with the latest carry there into contact. Swan looks as if he's going to line up a box kick, delivers it now. Plenty of height on that. Mosley coming through there, tries to get that into the red basket into the midriff. Irvin Hess coming away from the wing, carries and was able to escape the tensions there of George Paul in the tackle. Recycled McAndrew on towards Baggett, floated out towards the right hand side. Reed's little grubber kick. Watsonians give chase. 2 back, 3 back now in close proximity to the ball there. Boroughmuir players, the backs were certainly rushing back in numbers to close the door on the on-rushing winger Scott King. As you see, he was being asked a lot of that sort of kick and chase there, but Boroughmuir dotting the ball down just over their own line, having mopped up, and that was good defensive cover there provided by Rory Swan. Yeah,
well cleaned up by Swanee there. It's Boroughmuir got their exit drills done right. Maybe just a little bit of a missed kick there from Swanee, a little bit shallow. Great another great carry from Neil Irvin Hess there, just showing his physicality and how abrasive and elusive he is as a big number 8. As I said, well mopped up from Swanee there, but again you just saw the kind of class as soon as Watsonians had possession, had the ball. You kind of see once they got the ball in hand, they were looking dangerous. I did see one of the passes, it looks like it was slightly drifting, so sitting here in the studio, we're not feeling any wind and it doesn't look too bad, but I think there is a little bit of a wind there that might be playing a little bit of a factor in this game.
Watsonians gathering the ball from the goal line drop out. Another challenge coming in as Watsonians then look to their half-backs. Baggett out towards the left-hand side. Again, Berg just supporting those with width on the wing. Back it comes again. Off his scopes, this time a lot forward, takes the ball in. He's floored, but looking to try and deliver possession of the ball as the penalty awarded this time to Watsonians midway inside that Boroughmuir half. An offside decision this time given against Boroughmuir. Baggett very quickly across, signalling he's going to go for the corner rather than for the posts. Of course, the game level at 7 points all. Boroughmuir having a penalty goal. Watching George Paul strike it back off that left-hand post. That would have given him a 10-7 lead at that stage. But suddenly now Watsonians, after a period of defensive play on the attack, ball won there by Seb Cecil, and they're deep inside the Boroughmuir half of the field. Closing in on half-time. Ball with Jake Kerr. Kerr being driven towards the line. Could be a second try in the first half for Kerr. The referee then has a good hard look at who's down on the deck. It's a clean grounding from Jake Kerr. It's his second try in 34 minutes. He'll be delighted with that. And Watsonians with that scorer back in front by 12 points to 7. Again, a well executed line out, similar to their opening try in that it was a line out 5 metres or so from the Boroughmuir line. It worked its way back towards Kerr, and Kerr was not going to be denied. And that's one area of strength it seems in this Watsonian squad, with Carl Davis watching on the bench and their starting hooker scoring 2 tries in that first half, and Watsonians lead by 12 points to 7.
Yeah, you could have put money on that going over when Baggy kicked into the corner there, but Boroughmuir have had their opportunities. You kind of feel like they've had the bulk of the possession, and we spoke about little margins. That's where I think Boroughmuir need to improve, just to make that step up and go that extra level. 3 points on hand, and then an easy exit from Watsonians, and they're down the other end of the park, scoring their second try.
All eyes then on Jason Baggett to try and add a further 2 points from the tee, from a similar position to his previous attempt, which was good. There's a further 2 for Baggett, and Watsonians very much back in business, leading by 14 points to 7 inside the final 5 minutes of the first half at Myreside. And the league leaders have had some work to do in the first near 40 minutes, but at the moment are taking a lead into half-time. Boroughmuir will want to change all that though in the remaining time we have before the interval, and they infringe by knocking the ball forward from the restart, so it will be a set play just outside that Watsonians 22. And a reminder of the score: 2 Jake Kerr tries then for Watsonians, both converted by Jason Baggett. Alex Tom response for Boroughmuir, converted by George Paul. There are your scorers. That's the scoreline in the top left-hand corner of the screen. And Watsonians will have this set play just outside of their own 22.
Yeah, good pressure there. We've spoken about Paul and getting himself into the game. I think his restarts, it's probably not spoken about at all, but just how important that restart is. He's putting that in a position that Boroughmuir can get to the ball and compete. So unfortunate there, but good pressure. But as we've spoken about, it's important that the Bears don't give any easy outs here to Watsonians, and Watsonians get their drills right.
First half with, so far anyway, precious few stoppages. It's been a relatively smooth first near 40 minutes. A few reset scrums, but fortunately no significant injuries to talk about. Likes of Craig Keddy, you expect after 36-37 minutes to at some point be in the wars, and he certainly received a little bit of treatment. Arthur Allen also has, but there have been relatively short stoppages, and this game closing in then on half time with Watsonians leading by 7 points.
Yeah, I think it's been a good balanced game so far. I think, as we've spoken about, Boroughmuir have had their chances, but they've showed some good quality when they've been on ball. And Watsonians have also showed their class when they're probably little possession, but they've made the most of it when they've had the opportunity.
Of course, the reverse fixture back in the spring during the sprint series produced a very competitive match, just a 3-point game in the end. Boroughmuir 29, Watsonians 32, and almost a year ago at Myreside it was a 31-10 win for Watsonians against the Boroughmuir Bears. That day as Watsonians launch it long, and Boroughmuir have got time to run, gather and ping the ball down towards the edge of the 22. Baggett has it once more. Little bit of kick tennis from the two sides at the moment. Scurrying back there is Swan, gets back to his feet, launches a kick right-footed downfield that this time finds touch. Provides Watsonians with the throw-in opposite. As you see, the main stand just over 90 seconds by our clock until the interval, and it's 14-7 to the onside.
Yeah, that's a good outcome for Watsonians. Obviously, they had the scrum inside their half, and they've ended up inside the Boroughmuir half there. Just shows how good Baggy's boot is, but also a good kick, making touch from Swanee. He's a really good player. We mentioned him briefly, but he had his opportunity with Glasgow Warriors at the end of last season, which is thoroughly deserved. I think he's a great player, and he's a good footballer.
Taken on by Boroughmuir, determined to gather that grubber kick played through by Baggett, and they've got ball in hand now. Again, the half-backs linking up well and bringing some of the forwards into play. As one almost loses a jersey there, Josh King, has the jersey almost taken from him, as he's able to find Aboda once more. The lock forward into contact, it's been stripped, one back and very quickly played through the hands there of Berg, out towards the right hand side. Scott King pulls off his wing, continues the forward run, distinctive figure King as the ball is back through the hands. Baggett, looped pass, Watsonians again leading the charge. George Pringle outside centre, this time taking the ball into contact. Reverse pass from Baggett, still they remain between that 10 and 22. Closing stages then, final knock-ins off the first half. Penalty won by Boroughmuir there, and they'll be delighted with that. Some good defensive cover work, just isolating the Watsonians carriers. And Watsonians, as they spread the ball wide, you see loose ball there going in, and immediately Boroughmuir had lock forward Jack Fisher over the top, sealing off, and it's into the red zone now with 40 minutes on the clock. Boroughmuir one last chance perhaps to level. Yeah, that was a great turnover from Jack there. Watsonians looking dangerous, and hopefully all going well, they're going to be going in into the sheds with a narrowly behind, or if they can do anything here. But Jack Fisher with the turnover, he's a big boy and hard to shift there. So really good turnover from him there, and really important. Arthur Allen with the throw in, receiving the instructions from Luca Alessandri as the ball comes back down. Jack Fisher again looking to win possession in the line out, but Boroughmuir infringing with the knock on, and the referee has a quick glance at the watch, confirming that we have indeed reached the conclusion of the first 40 minutes, and as Tom mentioned, we'll head into the respective changing rooms with the game poised very nicely at the interval. Not a huge amount to choose between the sides, but Watsonians, when given the opportunity, have been that little bit more clinical, courtesy of two well-drilled line-outs close towards the Boroughmuir line. Boroughmuir showing some creativity though, bringing backs into play, scoring a fine try in response to Watsonians' opening score, and we have a scoreline at half-time of Watsonians Rugby 14, Boroughmuir Bears 7. Let's take a look back then at those scores we were talking about. So this from a Watsonians line out, early stages of the first half. You can see just at the back of the drive, the ball in possession of Jake Kerr, and he was powered over the line there, aided by some very strong forwards, but he had a bit of finishing to do himself. You can see just controlling the ball under that left arm, using the right arm as a support mechanism, and just manoeuvring, getting a bit of leverage and he was over for a score. And again, how often do we see the effectiveness of a hooker coming in from 5 metres from his position line? This was the 1-2 try, Tom.
Yeah, no, great, and I think the Watsonians try as well. That was a couple of minutes in. We thought it could have been a long day for the Bears, but they responded well with this try. They had the free ball and they went with the backs, but really good link play. And obviously Joe Jenkins showing his work rate on the inside there and finishing that move off really well.
Yeah, that involved Scott Robertson, Alex Tom, I think Mason Cullen and Joe Jenkins all involved. And there we see Jenkins just touching down the left winger. It was who was awarded the score. I think we mentioned earlier in commentary it could have been Alex Tom, but it was Joe Jenkins, quite rightly as Tom mentioned, who scored the try. Then really a repeat from Watsonians, the line out drive 5 metres from the Boroughmuir line, the power again shown of the forwards, the control provided by Jake Kerr, the try awarded to Watsonians, and it's the score that effectively has given them the lead at the interval.
Yeah, carbon copy of the first try. It came later on in the half, so Boroughmuir did well to keep them out. I don't know if he actually touched that down, but obviously the referee had a better look than we did in our studio. But again, Watsonians bread and butter here. Jason Baggett ping it in the corner, and as I said, you put money on the Watsonians scoring from that distance any day.
You can see him almost lying on his back, but he must have been able to sort of spin round and at least get a clean grounding in the eyes of the referee for the try to be awarded. So there we are, half-time score, Watsonians 14, Boroughmuir Bears 7. Of course, the first action of this weekend in round 3 of this FOSROC Super Series Championship, and a bit later on I'm sure we'll take a look at the fixtures that are coming up. In fact, here we are. I've got the graphic up now at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at the Green Yard. Southern Knights against Ayrshire Bulls, and then Heriots are at home to Stirling Wolves, who themselves are looking to really get off and running in the championship. So those two matches still to be played this weekend, but at half time at Myreside, Watsonians have a 7-point lead. They lead their near neighbours Boroughmuir Bears by 14 points to 7 at the break.
Karen and another Charlie, so thank you very much for all boys to help me out this evening. And just to give you an update on the future FOSROC Super Series fixtures for Watsonians. After this evening, they've got a week off. Our next match will be on Friday the 25th of August, away to Stirling Wolves. And the next home game back here at Myreside will be on Friday the 1st of September. Another Edinburgh derby against Herriot. Friday the 1st of September on the next Super Series home game here at Myreside. Watsonians against Herriot.
Do touch. Me versus you. You guys. You need to. Ah! Ah! No. Do the two balls. Wait, guys, can you lift each other? Can you lift each other? Wait, you both? Lift each other out and... Ow! Yep, huh? Wait, we're playing normal rugby, right? Like that.
Time to welcome the team back to the pitch, so please put your hands together for the visitors of Boroughmuir Bears.
Teams heading back out. Boroughmuir first onto the pitch. Watsonians, warm applause for the home side as they make their way out. Nicky Walker, of course, the head coach of Watsonians, will have had plenty of words of wisdom, I'm sure, to impart on his team. Likewise, Graham Shield with his Boroughmuir side. So just a reminder, and it was Joe Jenkins who was awarded the try for Boroughmuir. That either side of 2 Jake Kerr scores for Watsonians, the hooker, with really his second try, a carbon copy of his first line at 5 metres from the Boroughmuir line. And over they go for the score this time round, and it's Jason Baggett who will get this second half underway with a high hanging kick just to the edge of the Boroughmuir 22. The visiting side are able to gather possession of the ball. We'll bring you any changes that we can identify during the early stages of the second half, but none certainly that we're aware of during the first 40 minutes. So try scorers Kerr and Jenkins. Kerr with 2, the scoreline with 30 seconds of the second half gone. Rory Swan delivering the high up and under. Will carry the halfway line, but just goes straight out, and the assistant across on the far side with the raised flag. So David Young makes his way back to where Swan launched the box kick on Watsonians with this attacking platform in the early stages of the second half. Here are the thoughts once again of Tom Brown.
Yeah, I think Bears will be pleased going into the sheds at half time. It's just important that they don't get ahead of themselves, and there are going to be momentum shifts in the second half, but make sure that they keep calm under pressure, and they're not getting too excited. A small mistake there from Swanee, but just a good turnover there and a good bit of defence from Boroughmuir. So it's important they don't overplay now. And they get their exit done right. But there's an opportunity with Joe Jenkins unfortunately being bundled into touch.
Yeah, you can see that high challenge signalled by the referee, Johnny Perriam there, as it was originally a piece of hands from Watsonians. At that stage the ball had been knocked forward, been stripped, it was back with Boroughmuir. They were looking to try and work it down that left hand channel, and the challenge comes in, penalised by the referee. Boroughmuir then working play down. This time it does find touch just inside Watsonians territory, so it will be a throw in for the visiting team.
It's a good result. There's a couple of times that Boroughmuir have a tendency to overplay there. Joe was tackled into touch, but they got the penalty fortunately. But sometimes they got the turnover. Just one pass and then get that ball away with a clean exit is necessary in that time. But we just see Watsonians stealing that line out there. So we'll see how they do on ball here.
McAndrew Baggett linking up just on that halfway line. Again, Berg, a determined figure, gaining some ground for Watsonians on this left hand side, looking to play ball here. George Pringle, a fine piece of running from Pringle at 1-2 with Osley. Back it goes again towards the outside centre. George Pringle, and a fine Watsonian score coming inside 3 minutes of the second half. Osley was a fine supporting cast member in the move, but you can see it was initially the work of Pringle to escape the attentions of 2 Boroughmuir players, one of them being the fullback there, Ewan Muirhead. It worked its way out towards Osley. He was very quick to feed the ball back into Pringle, who continued his forward strong running, and he's over for a third Watsonians try, and that's exactly what the head coach would be looking for. Nicky Walker will be a pleased, a happy man, I would imagine, watching this conversion attempt.
Yeah, we spoke about Boroughmuir keeping their composure, and especially in the early stages of this second half. Watsonians didn't get a huge amount of ball in that first half, but you can see every time they had it, they were dangerous on ball, and they seem to always be making yards and going forward. So you can see when the passes stick, they're a hard team to stop, and a little bit of indecisiveness in the outside backs defensively for the Bears, but well finished by Watsonians.
Baggett then swinging in nicely, and it's had further 2 points there for Jason Baggett and for Watsonians. That takes his tally up to 6 for this evening, and Watsonians now a little bit more daylight between themselves and Boroughmuir, 21 points to 7. But when Boroughmuir conceded that relatively early score in the first half, they did work their way back into the game pretty quickly and had a good chunk of dominance in the first 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's really important that the Bears don't put their heads down here. They're still well in this game, so as they did in the first half, if they can get a response early, they're still well in this game, as I said.
4 or 5 players back close towards the 10-metre line. As Paul's kick then bounces a couple of times, David Changlein's flag is raised. It will be a Watsonians throw in opposite the main stand. 21-7 the scoreline. Nicky Walker, incidentally, has had a fine day so far. I understand playing with Scott McLeod in a Bill McLaren Foundation golf invitational down in Hawick. I presume it was a Peers Championship, but great celebrations on the 18th when they won that little competition, and then I believe he won a golf bag in the after. So he's having a fine day so far, Nicky Walker, but I suspect his mind won't be on golf right now. It will be on his side's performance in the early stages of the second half, with this 14-point lead they hold, ball in hand with Jake Kerr at the moment on halfway. Clean line out win again for Watsonians, taken there by Van Nieuwkerk round the corner, picked up there by the scrum half McAndrew. John Baggett in a supporting role, so too a clutch of forwards. McAndrew go in once again. Glance towards the left hand side. Mosley allows it to bounce, then picks up onto his skipper Irvin Hess. And behind is McAndrew. Plenty of Melrose players there with the connection with Baggett, Irvin Hess and McAndrew. Now it comes to Lewis Ball. He's slowed up close towards the halfway line. Boroughmuir have got a nice turnover here. A chance for them to go from reverse into forward mode. Keddy does well to offload. Now the front row forwards, Mark McGinley showing his experience and his upper body strength there, but the penalty decision given against Boroughmuir. And you can see one of the Watsonians players gingerly getting back to his feet. It's Bobby Bratton, the loose head prop, stayed down, involved in collision. And he was trying to fend off a few players there. I think it was George Pringle, the Watsonians try scorer, that did take a sore one in that collision with Martin McGinley.
Yeah, it looks like a wee clash of heads there. Josh King initially did so well to turn that ball over, you know, and again the Bears have the tendency just to overplay that. I was expecting Martin to put that through his hands. He does like to step up at 10 every now and then. It was a good carry initially, but maybe a little bit more work on the deck there, just to get that ball away from the defender and the player going over ball. But a good turnover and well recovered by Watsonians.
Yeah, a little glimpse of the fans pitch side there, some with messages of support for one side or the other. A little clutch of Boroughmuir Bears supporters, no denying which side they're supporting this evening, as just that stoppage in play. This is really the first of any sort of significance due to an injury, and it's back. Play will resume. Baggett spins the ball in the hands, and Watsonians, you see, of the 3 tries on the board. George Pringle's second half score adding to 2 in the first, and Jake Kerr in response coming a fine intricate move involving the clutch of Boroughmuir back. So Joe Jenkins it was who finished off the Boroughmuir score. Launched the throw in there, Jake Kerr. Kerr now, of course, will be on for a hat-trick as the ball is tucked under his left arm now and directly into the edge of the 22. McAndrew in behind. On now looking for Baggett. Baggett with a looped ball. Couple out on that right hand side for Watsonians. Again, Boroughmuir looking for an opportunity to steal. The referee was playing at advantage there. He'll come back for an infringement on that Watsonians left hand side. And it's been a good start to this second period for the home team.
Yeah, it has been. They've had a little bit more possession at the start of this first half. I think we all know where this is going and what Watsonians are going to try and do off the back of this. But it's going to be a big test for Bears now. They didn't do a huge amount of defending in that first half, so again, you know, as much as they need to stay patient in attack, they need to stay patient in defence and get set and make sure that they're working hard in defence as much as they are working hard in attack.
Watsonians mindful this potentially a platform for a fourth try and the rewards that will come with a fourth try score. So first part of the job was done. It was an excellent take there from Neil Irvin Hess, the skipper. The ball back now with Kerr directly towards the line. Kerr, something inevitable about the outcome there as Irvin Hess with an excellent take. Kerr not hanging about. He was just on the back of the drive, powered his way through. There's the one-handed take from Hess. There's the acceleration now beginning to show in the Watsonians drive. And Kerr's over for a hat-trick.
That was a brilliant take from Neil Irvin Hess. You know, he kept that move alive. It looked like it was going well over the top of him with the one-handed grab, which was kind of NFL-like. But it was, you know, he kept that going because you know, a lot of teams would have unfortunately lost that. But you know, and Jake Kerr in for his third try, so he'll be delighted. A good shift from him tonight.
Just watching on again as Baggett very carefully placing the ball on the tee, looking to keep a 100% record of conversions. Of course, I forget he's been around at the Scottish game now a good number of years. Jason Baggett from his early days making appearances in the first team for Melrose. And now very much a firm fixture wearing the 10 jersey for Watsonians in this part-time professional FOSROC Championship squad. And it's a further 2 points for Baggett and for Watsonians, and they're easing clear and a side with 2 wins to their name so far, flying high at the top of the table. 10 minutes of the second half gone, and it's been a very productive opening 10 minutes of the second period for Nicky Walker and his side.
Yeah, Watsonians would be very happy. They're going to their strength. We always knew that going into this game, it's an area of strength for Watsonians. That driving maul so close, and it just goes to show two moments or 2 penalties there back to back, and Watsonians are camping on the 5-metre line of Boroughmuir. So discipline is key for Bears if they want to stay in this game.
Looking down, I think there's been a few changes there. Keen Watt, I think, has come on for Watsonians. Dan Winning looks as if he's on for Boroughmuir, and I think Brandon Sweet may also be on. So a couple of changes in the front row for the visiting side. As I mentioned, Keen Watt also on, and if Dan Winning is on, of course, he suffered a nasty ACL injury, so good to see him back getting some game time. And it's back now through the hands of George Paul. Floated pass, Boroughmuir trying to get that towards the halfway line, just beyond. And the referee spotting the infringement just as Boroughmuir were trying to continue playing the ball forward, just close to the ground.
That was a shame there. As you mentioned, it's great to see Dan. I think he's on the ball there. Just a little knock on at the base, but great to see Dan back on the pitch. You know, he did have his ACL injury, but he worked really hard. I know he missed out on last season, and he was still a big part of the club last year, and he worked really hard to get himself back on this pitch. Just seen that, I think you mentioned, but Tristan Andrews is on in the back row, who is definitely an effective player for the Bears. So it'll be exciting. Hopefully he has a bit of an injection into this game.
Tristan Andrews wearing 20, so he's effectively the Boroughmuir number 8, just at the back of the scrum, the furthest left in the picture. McAndrew looking to feed the ball in with Rory Swan just alongside him. The 2 lanes together. McAndrew picked up at the base. Some acceleration. McAndrew still going. Tackled and ball dislodged. The referee though penalising Boroughmuir again, just close towards their own 10-metre line. So the infringement's racking up, and Boroughmuir really haven't been able to get into any rhythm and groove in the second half so far.
No, we're just talking again about those little penalties. You know, it's just, you're never going to get away with something like that. Scott Robson just trying to be cheeky and ripping that ball on the deck, but you know, as we said, we just know this is going in one direction, and we've seen the strength and power of Watsonians when they get their driving maul going. So it's just an opportunity you don't want to give them.
Yeah, into that 22, not quite on the 5, but still quite deep into 22 territory. Bang it with a little instruction towards the direction of Lewisberg. Forwards en masse, then line up, long throw towards the back of the line. Another excellent take, just arching back there, Neil Irvin Hess. Again, Boroughmuir will be acutely aware of the danger now, as the ball is still with the hooker, Jake Kerr. Now, can he be held up on this occasion? Well, it's been taken on by McAndrew. On now towards the inside centre, Berg trying to weave his way away from trouble. McAndrew picks up once more, on towards Alfie Scopes. Scopes is slowed up 5 metres from the Boroughmuir line. McAndrew has it once more, on this time towards Seb Cecil. Cecil is flowed. Watsonians still looking for some creative edge here to get another score on the board, leading by 28 points to 7, but good turnover here from Boroughmuir's point of view. A vital turnover, a vital interception. They're still camped inside their 22, and it may well be down to Rory Swan lining up this box kick to try and at least escape this section of pitch. Swan then, the kick was attempted, the charge down, ricocheting off the forearms of one of the Watsonians forwards there coming through, and Boroughmuir still looking to try and find an exit. Back it comes to Swan again. Swan readies himself. This time he gets a little bit more height on the kick, not a touch finder, but it's gathered just practically on the tram lines there. And now this is Osley, Freddie Osley, weaving his way back infield, taken on this time by Lewis Berg. So got a bit of space to run into the inside centre, tackled short of the 22. McAndrew then looking for a little bit of movement and finds it inside, as Watsonians again enjoying some dominance and possession. And Kieran Watt in the thick of the action, the replacement back row forward again. That was helped on there by Scott King, but there was nobody really ready to collect ball for Watsonians out on that right hand side. Boroughmuir are able to pick up on their left, but in a lot of traffic there, and hassled out of it there was Josh King as he goes to deck. The moment Rory Swan comes in now, he's able to pick up, ball goes loose there. Swan on towards Paul. Paul then pings it down, and Freddie Osley now with the feet has time to line up a left-footed kick, and that's straight down at the heart of the pitch. This is George Paul. Paul still is going. Offload was important. Finds a Boroughmuir teammate there in the form of left winger there, Joe Jenkins in support. Try scorer Jenkins in this match so far. There's Cullen across on that right hand side. He's tackled. Swan goes in again, looks to recycle ball. This is Tristan Andrews. They'll be looking for an opportunity to get plenty of game time, and we've still got a fair chunk of time left in the game. 25 minutes to go. Long loop pass out there. Tries to split that Watsonians defence, but Watsonians were able to pick the ball up there again. That was a real high risk play from Boroughmuir. Lewis Berg positioned himself perfectly for any Boroughmuir mistake. And you see this again because it was high risk stuff when you were going to float out a pass of this nature out towards the right hand side. It deflected as Osley made the tackle, came back to Lewis Berg, and Berg was not going to be denied such a straightforward try scoring opportunity.
Yeah, we spoke in the first half about Bears just kind of gaining that level or going up that level, and you know, it's just that game management. I know that they're chasing the game now, but you know, when they're playing in their half, it's still about possession, it's still about territory. So I think they probably overplayed that a little bit. You know, they're kind of looking at the scoreboard rather than getting their drills right. You know, there's an opportunity a couple of times there just to slow the game down, get the ball out, and Swanee just missed touch, which gave Watsonians an opportunity, and you know, they got back, they got the turnover, but again, you know, then is there an opportunity to get the ball down the park and not be playing in their own half. You know, but that's just part of this Boroughmuir's development. You know, there's a lot of young players there. They do have a bit of a core squad now developing, so you know, little moments of great play and just little moments that can just be developed further.
So that's now 5 tries for Watsonians, a hat-trick for Jake Kerr, George Pringle and Lewis Berg also scoring tries in the second half. That kick just drifting wide off the uprights there. 33 points to 7. Graham Schule will certainly want to avoid another heavy Derby defeat with ultimately conceding 51 points in that dismantling by Heriots a couple of weeks ago, 51 points to 14. But away they go once again. And Joe Jenkins, their try scorer, Lewis Baird, George Pringle 3, as we mentioned, for Jake Kerr. Boroughmuir looking to try and build some phases, try and work their way into a game that certainly at half time they had a fair amount of possession and quite a bit of control as well. But we've scarcely seen them in an attacking sense so far in the second half. Paul there, ball's allowed to bounce out towards the right hand side and taken on over Cullen. In support there is Tristan Andrews. Back it comes again through the Boroughmuir hands. Tackle comes in there by George Skugel. He's on for Watsonians. Watsonians away they go once again. Some determination here shown by Kieran Watt. Little offload now, it's out towards Osley. Osley then stops, checks, turns. Keith stays on his feet there. Able to try and manoeuvre his way in towards that 22. Recycle ball, McAndrew. Back in field. Taken on this time by, looks like Campbell Wilson on the Parkland 21. Penalty to Boroughmuir this time, so they were able to do the defensive cover duty, and quickly taken by Craig Keddy, determined. The referee saying, yep, you can go with that. Jersey almost ripped from his body there. Boroughmuir second row forward, Jack Fisher, in a collision there with Freddie Osley. Meanwhile, some treatment to Rory Swan. And with that, we'll get the thoughts once again from Tom Brown.
Yeah, we spoke about it again. You know, just errors creeping in the Bears side, but when Watsonians have that ball, you know, you can see the way that they play. They're exciting, you know, they're a physical team and they get their drills right, but when actually they're in open play, they've got big forwards that can actually play a little bit, and they'll see the offloads. Well back from Bears, you know, fair play to them. I think it was Cullen coming back and getting over the ball, which as a little winger, you know, it was great to see him putting his head in dark places to get that penalty, and then quick thinking from CK, quick tap. I think he took it and then realised, I thought, well, what am I doing? But he managed to pick up another 10 yards there, which, as I said, you know, you don't want these kind of games getting away from you. Boroughmuir can still take a lot from this match in terms of confidence and going into the next round. You know, they just need to get some footage on there. So, you know, it's not panicking, it's not being frantic now. It's just getting the drills right and getting some good plays on tape.
Touch finder there, and a throw in for Boroughmuir. And once again, Allen spins the ball in the hands, ready to throw the ball in to this line out. 5 tries to 1. Boroughmuir on the attack at the moment. Craig Keddy just to lead the pass just ever so slightly to bring teammates in that were ready to receive possession of the ball. Cullen comes off his right wing, lends a hand. Boroughmuir building through Swan. Taken into contact there, Tristan Andrew. On the left hand side again, Alex Tome, who's part of the Jenkins try, involved in 3 or 4 of the backs involved in that score, much earlier on in the contest. Watsonians not rolling away, so Boroughmuir penalty coming at a valuable time, and perhaps a little exchange there. Dan Winning, maybe a slightly frustrated figure, as Johnny Perriam's not going to have any back chat, and Boroughmuir have the penalty and they'll be able to ping this one a bit further downfield, and they just need some forward play, need some ball, and need some opportunities to really recreate some of what served them well in the first half.
Yeah, some positive play there from the Bears. It looks like Callum Ram has come on, which will give a bit of experience in that back line in the outside backs. Also the impact of Tristan Andrews. You see, we've mentioned him, but when he's come on, he's carried the ball hard. He's come onto that ball with a bit of pace. So he's definitely causing a little bother in that Watsonians defence. But as I say, you know, we've spoken about you know, having some confidence from this match, and you know what, you don't want it to be a match that gets away from you and there's 50+ points on the board. You know, Boroughmuir can still gain a lot from this match, and I think it starts from here.
Josh Beveridge and Liam Habib, I think, are both on the field for Boroughmuir. I think Craig Keddy has made way as there's a strapping to Joe Jenkins. So it'll be that bit more distinct with the strapping applied by the club doctor. Here's the instructions now coming by way of Brandon Sweet. So a chance here for Boroughmuir with the throw in. Again, Allen looking to feed the ball into the line. Now, can they create something from a line out very similar to the 3 Watsonians tries scored by his opposite number? They're able to peel away and get up towards the line. They're going to have to recycle ball. It's worked infield. And again, Watsonians remain resolute defensively as Boroughmuir scrambling around, looking to offload. A decent carry on here. Once again, there's some half involved in everything, but really it's the forwards just now, and some determination shown by Josh King getting closer towards the line. Greg School with the good cover defensive work there. Played in again to Habib just on the park and looking to ready himself and get involved in the action. It's taken on by the inside centre there, Scott Robertson, and he's tackled. Back it comes again. Josh Beveridge readying himself for further action. He's certainly been busy in the last 30 seconds to a minute since he's come on the park. Beveridge now directing operations in place of Swan, but it's picked up this time by Habib on in towards Beveridge. Plenty of opportunities, good number of phases this for Boroughmuir. They try and pick and go once more. Andrews this time is the carrier, plants it back. You can see how close they are towards that try line, taken on by Allen. He's bundled backwards. Back it comes then to Beveridge. Little interchange of passing, looking to float the ball out towards Tom, out towards the Boroughmuir right hand side. Slowed up because of good Watsonians defensive cover. Boroughmuir go again. Osley remains upright in the tackle for Watsonians as it's back across now with Joe Jenkins on the right hand side, the left winger. Feeds the ball in then towards Jack Fisher. Fisher goes to deck. Over the ball at the moment is Westlake. He looks to recycle. Boroughmuir still they're pressing and probing this Watsonians line. Watsonians, you can see also Carl Davis is on for the closing stages, so a change to Watsonians in the front row with the replacement hooker on the park. Still Boroughmuir have possession of the ball. Several phases now, into the teens of phases here as it's carried on by, you can see Josh King once more. Floated kick out towards the right hand side. It's allowed to bounce once, twice. No grounding opportunity there for Mason Cullen, who was sort of slowing up, trying to judge his the bounce and his run from the crossfield kick. It was going to take something like that perhaps to open up the Watsonians defence. It's coming back for an earlier infringement, so that was worthwhile free ball, at least trying to bring Cullen into play on that right hand side. But better stuff from Boroughmuir, just no end product this time, Tom.
Yeah, it's nice to see them holding on to ball there. They've not had many opportunities in the second half. Alex Toulis, we mentioned in the first half, has been working hard on that line-out play, which they've done well, but Watsonians are showing their strength in defence as well.
So from the tap, Boroughmuir still in possession, looking to gain some ground against a Watsonian side that haven't conceded since that Joe Jenkins score in the first half, almost at the midway point of the opening half, just short of that in fact. So the side top of the table with 5 tries on the board on the defensive as Boroughmuir again readying themselves. They pick and go, pressing and probing towards the line, getting mighty close. Referee having a look to see just how close they are to the line. As Boroughmuir, you can see that's the angle from the Watsonians defence. Again, every opportunity, bringing the likes of Josh King, the blindside flanker in, he's been held up there, or Boroughmuir as a collective have been held up, have been denied, and the Watsonians defence remains solid and strong. And Boroughmuir, I'm sure, will get a further opportunity, but this by far and away Watsonians' sternest test defensively in this second period.
Yeah, Watsonians doing really well there in defence. That's a tough area to keep strong and to hold any team out there. But it's just an area that the Bears have been working on for a number of seasons now. Is when you get into that 22, especially in that 5 metre line, it's trying to get round the corner and winning those spaces, and so you're winning those collisions. Where I just feel that Boroughmuir are just a little bit static when they're coming onto the ball there in that 5 metre line. And unfortunately, just another error there, and Watsonians being gifted the ball back in a good position.
Handling letting them down with the knock-on advantage played by the referee, and McAndrew looking to recycle for Watsonians. 14 minutes of this match left to play, 33 points to 7. Boroughmuir are able to win back possession to ping it downfield, but it'll go back for an earlier infringement. Was it a knock-on there, a Watsonians perhaps knock-on? I'm just trying to judge the signal of the referee. I think he's signalling a handling error from the home side.
Looks like a wee knock-on. My feeling is Boroughmuir works so hard to make these opportunities, and then when they're in the we used to call it the gold zone, you know, there is that, they're working so hard, and you know they're making it kind of look difficult. But you know, otherwise, you know, on the flip side when Watsonians have that ball, they just seem to be making yards, and they just make it look so easy. And it's just, you know, it's small margins, you know, but you can definitely tell the difference just in the experience and the physicality here when it comes to both teams.
Yeah, talking about say just perhaps being that little bit more clinical than the other, and Watsonians, a good chunk of their squad, of course, have been part of the club for a good number of years. They've been over the course a few times as well. A few fresh faces in Graham Shields' side that is still sort of bedding in for this particular championship campaign, as it's back now with Joe Jenkins. Looped pass out towards Cullen. Cullen addresses what is in front of him. He's got Callum Ram in support. Ram wearing 23 bypasses him at the moment, but again it's taken on by the hard-working Josh King. Takes the ball in, up into contact. Jenkins, bounce just evades him, but it comes closer towards Mason Cullen, who scoots up possession of the ball there. Of course, Rhys Cullen had a spell with Watsonians, and a well-known figure down at Biggar. Rhys Cullen himself, of course, a very accomplished sevens player, and a little bit of afters there as one or two Boroughmuir players maybe getting a little bit of frustration creeping in there. Jack Fisher literally tossing one of the Watsonians players aside, as Boroughmuir still looking for an end product in this second half.
Yeah, pleading his innocence there, but you know, we spoke about it. I know the game's probably away from Boroughmuir now, but you can still get a lot of positives. You can still work on your game plan. You can still get your exits right and put pressure on Watsonians in the right areas of the field. And again, it was one of those moments that you kind of can look at it and go, are they overplaying now? And you know, is this best just to kind of to set your line and to put a ball up in the air? But you know, it's great to see Josh Beveridge back. You know, again, he's another player who had an ACL injury when I was at the Bears. So you know, I saw all the work that he did in the gym and off the park. So you know, it's great to see him getting a run out for the Bears and you know, looking fit again.
Boroughmuir could well be going for a replacement in that front row again. Alex Allen making way, and Zach Griffiths, I think, is stripped and ready to come on for the remaining few minutes of the match. And also making way is George Paul. So change at hooker and a change at fly half, and immediately over comes Zach Griffiths now on that right hand side of your screen with that red scrum cap on, and his first involvement will be to throw the ball into the line. There he is.
Two youngsters, Callum Anderson I played with, you know, he was up and coming from Boroughmuir system, but Zach Griffiths in his first year with the Bears. You know, he's been a good young exciting player coming through the Boroughmuir academy ranks and with the club team. So you know, great to see him get his opportunity with a brilliant, well executed throw to start off. So that'll be great for his confidence.
Finding Josh King, that way forward. King back to his feet, has possession of the ball now up towards that 10-metre line. Watsonians players get back to their feet there as they've been forced into the tackle. Kieran Watt defence leading the defensive line. It comes now on the Boroughmuir side. 10 minutes of the game left to play. At this stage, Tom will be turning his attentions, I'm sure, to player of the match. We'll get the outcome of that sort of scientific exercise a little bit later on, maybe in 5 or 6 minutes time. But into the final 10 minutes then, and this another opportunity for Zach Griffiths just to try and find his man in the line, set up a platform here for Boroughmuir. This time a higher arced throw in, but again extremely effective and once more able to find Jack Fisher in the line, and they splinter away now up towards the 5-metre line in that 22. Watsonians penalised again, so the penalties going to rack up against Watsonians at the moment. Carl Davis last to his feet, gets back into position, and how Boroughmuir would love at least a consolation score at this stage in the game. Maybe a couple of scores would certainly change the complexion of the scoreline on paper, but this second half for much of it has been bossed by the home team.
Yeah, the game's gone, but it's important for Boroughmuir to execute here in terms of their confidence. You know, as I said, it's an area that Boroughmuir have worked on for the past couple of seasons, and Alex Toulis has done a huge amount of work in this position. So let's hope that Boroughmuir can get their drills right and get a result from this attack.
Griffiths getting further and further down the park as Watsonians' penalty count does mount up. You can see just how close they are towards the line and wriggling away there. I think that looked like Josh King is showing his determination. So once more, Boroughmuir trying to pepper this Watsonians line. Remember, Watsonians have kept effectively a clean sheet so far in the second half. Only the Jenkins score, the only try that's breached the Watsonians line so far, but the defensive cover led there by Skugel gets back to his feet. The replacement tight head prop clutch of Watsonians players is taking it in turns to try and close the door, as again Boroughmuir trying to find a way through. The hands go down, the ball on the ground. Watsonians trying to come in over the top to try and win a turnover, but the referee is going to go to the pocket and for the first time brandishes a yellow card, and it looks as if it is Greg Skugel who has been shown the yellow card. The Watsonians replacement prop forward, he was involved earlier as sort of the last line of Watsonians defence, and coming flying through there and grounding the ball back, so deemed to have infringed by Johnny Perry, the referee, and into the sin bin goes Greg Skugel for
It's one of those team yellow cards that you know, just an accumulation now, but again another opportunity for Boroughmuir. I just feel that they just need to get that, they need to be coming onto ball, they need to get around that corner, winning that race, and they just need to, you know, they're taking that ball static at the moment. They're letting the defence come to them, where they need to be coming around that corner and winning those collisions, but you know, they've still got the ball, still got possession, so you know, they just need to keep working hard here.
Spreading the ball a bit wider, Josh Beveridge pointing the way forward as again the forwards just squatting down, trying to feed the ball in. This time it was Zach Griffiths taking the ball into contact, rolling away as his opposite number, Carl Davis. They've spread the ball wide. Beveridge again trying to position the pass onto one of the on-rushing Boroughmuir players, sitting just a little bit behind the attack. Boroughmuir almost losing possession there, coming flying through, trying to win the ball was Scott King from his wing, but again penalised, and Boroughmuir very quick to get on with it. Not surprisingly, you can see the determination. They're scrapping for absolutely everything, the side from Meggetland. As Myreside men leading. In fact, the referee has shown a second yellow card, and is that to Murdo McAndrew? He's certainly walking towards the sidelines there, so that could well be a second Watsonians player yellow carded. Offside decision given against Watsonians. We get to see a clip of this again. Certainly was brandished the yellow card in the direction of Murdo McAndrew.
Yeah, quick thinking there from Josh Beveridge. You know, he's he caught the Watsonians offside, but yeah, there's Murdo on the sidelines. Obviously another one of those team tries, just an accumulation of penalties.
So 13 men of Watsonians up against the 15 of Boroughmuir. Can Boroughmuir use the numerical advantage? Well, the ball was dislodged there, it bounced, and Scott King came round behind just to mop up possession for Watsonians, but meanwhile there's a little bit of afters involving a few of the replacements that have come on, looking to get involved in the action. So tempers really beginning to simmer, and if anything, they're reaching boiling point now. They've been simmering for a little while, but temperature has certainly risen in the last few minutes of the contest.
Yeah, the local derby, you know, being involved in a couple of these games, they do get a bit niggly. Cal Davis and Jack Fisher always seem to be heart and centre of it, but you know, I'm not surprised that the Bears have been a bit frustrated there. They've been pounding that line for the past 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes without getting a result, and as I said, as we know, they're up against 13 men now. So we spoke about the momentum, we spoke about going onto the ball with a little bit more pace and a little bit more physicality. But when Boroughmuir seem to be going wide, it just seems to be be going a little bit backwards, and they don't have a huge amount of direction. But a good line again from Scott Robson there. He's played well. He's been really busy this tonight. So we'll see if they can finish things off here.
Cullen on towards Joe Jenkins, and both wingers linking up well. Cullen with the grubber kick. Jenkins gives chase. He had eyes on a second try in the game, and again he's just in the thick of the action. We get to see this once more. So the offload just out the back door there from Habib on in towards Cullen. Cullen's kick through. Jenkins would give chase, but it just couldn't get in behind the Watsonians line on this occasion.
Yeah, inches away, but Watsonians, even though they're down to 13 men, they've done really well here to keep the Bears out. I think the Bears can improve a little bit on their attack on that 5 metre line, as we've spoken about, a little bit static. But fair play to Watsonians. They've fronted up really well, and with 13 men, they've done really well to keep the Bears out.
Remaining minutes of this contest played out, you'd imagine, inside this Watsonians 22, with Watsonians comfortably in front. And their tries this evening: Jake Kerr with 3 tries, George Pringle, who's Berg on the score sheet. Pringle and Berg scoring tries in the second half. Josh Kerr both sides of half time on the score sheet. Joe Jenkins also on the score sheet for Boroughmuir. 3 minutes of the game left to play, and Watsonians changes at 9, of course, with Campbell Wilson and Josh Beveridge on for the Watsonians back division. They've also brought Danny Williamson on. Williamson will take on the scrum half duties. Sitley feed the ball into this Watsonians scrum as they look to find an exit in the closing stages. 2.5 minutes of the regulation 80 left to play, and Watsonians having already toppled the Southern Knights on home soil, and a win away at Ayrshire Bulls, and Mulbray looking to make it 3 from 3. The game now well and truly won, and under a bit of pressure there, Williamson, it's flung backwards, and Baggett just tapping it into touch. And in fact the referee has blown for full time. He's confirmed that the game has reached conclusion, so our clock just a little bit behind the actual game time. So that does indeed conclude proceedings here at Myreside this evening, and Watsonians and Boroughmuir served up a pretty well balanced first 40 minutes, but pretty much straight from the off, Watsonians bossed affairs in the second half, racking up tries. And I think it's fair to say, Tom, in terms of player of the match, a standout performer was the Watsonian starting hooker, Jake Kerr. And when you score a hat-trick of tries, you've got to be considered.
I think it's unfair to score 3 tries. I think we'll give him that as that's a testament to the Watsonians pack. I thought they, as a unit, they performed really well. So I think giving the man of the match performance to Jake Kerr with his hat trick, I think it had to go to him and to the Watsonians pack tonight.
So Jake Kerr, congratulations to Jake, player of the match for this evening's FOSROC Super 6 Series contest at Myreside between Watsonians and Boroughmuir. 33 points to 7. I'm sure we'll get the chance to look over some of the highlights of the game. Some excellent scores, a couple of pretty much carbon copy tries. You see that this effectively is Jake Kerr at his clinical best, throwing the ball into the line out. The drive on here is an early indication of what was to come. His opening score at that stage would only played 5 minutes of the contest, and Kerr there had been powered over the line. He had a lot of work to do himself, of course. A clean grounding, and that was the first of 3 for the Watsonians hooker. This was a fine response from Boroughmuir, taken on there by Scott Robinson, played the ball in there towards Tom, on to Cullen, and it was the 2 wingers that ultimately linked up. Cullen on towards Joe Jenkins, and Jenkins it was who touched down. But the 2 centres and then the 2 wingers linking up with a really nice piece of play involving all 4 players, and a fine score there from Joe Jenkins on that left-hand side. And at that stage it levelled the contest at 7-all.
Yeah, that was a good finish from the Bears. I know that Graham Shield will be happy. This is the kind of brand of rugby that the Bears want to be playing. So, a little bit more accuracy, but you can see what the Bears can do.
So second try, very similar to the opening score again. Well executed throw in the line, back towards the starting hooker there, Jake Kerr, and Kerr powering his way over. Of course, watching on Carl Davis, who's certainly familiar with taking these opportunities himself, but it was all about Jake Kerr tonight, as again digging those studs into the Myreside turf, and being helped all the way. His opposite number coming through there, but very little that Arthur Allen could do to slow him down.
Yeah, I think Kerr getting his hat-trick tonight and getting his man of the match performance is just confirmation that how well the Watsonians pack played tonight, and you can see the different level when it comes to the driving mauls, and so it was good finishing from Kerr, because he had to start that off by getting his line-out throws accurate as well.
George Pringle doing a lot in the build-up to this score. He finished it off, and you saw his involvement there, the outside centre. Takes the ball on at this stage, beats his opposite number, then he's able to work his way around Ewan Muirhead, on towards Osley. Little 1-2 again, Osley out the side door. Excellent return pass. Pringle continued the strong forward running and was able to finish things off. Now this score coming at the early stages of the second half, the 14-7 scoreline at the interval very quickly became 21-7, an illustration of what was to come from a Watsonians point of view.
Yeah, definitely. Watsonians second half, great take there from Neil Irvin Hess. But this is just when the penalties count and the errors started to creep in from Boroughmuir, and there was a couple of scores that were scored off the back of kind of open play, and then penalties, and Baggett obviously going into the corner, and just like what we saw in that second half or the first half, Kerr finishing that off well.
Yeah, no underestimating the importance of the take initially from the captain Neil Irvin Hess. And you mentioned, one-handed take, that under some pressure there to avoid the grounding of the ball, and just about every time he's been able to just glance up and at least see the direction of travel, see how close he is towards the line. Now, of course, Boroughmuir were still working tremendously hard. This long, hopeful loop pass wasn't taken cleanly there. I think it was Muirhead that knocked the ball forward, and the grateful recipient was Lewis Berg, and Berg was able to finish things off again in the right place at the right time to latch on to any mistake.
Yeah, we spoke about Boroughmuir starting to force the game a bit here. There were a couple of tries down, and we spoke about the maturity of the Bears squad, but the good thing is that they'll learn from these mistakes. But going back to the previous try and Neil Irvin Hess's take in the line out, and I'm sure he does one on the next try as well. But he was a great figure, a great player for Watsonians, and he also had some strong carries as well. But this one, was a gift to Lewis Berg.
So Berg touching down, and by that stage the game was sort of well and truly won. So the opening fixture then in round 3 goes to Watsonians, 33 points to 17. Another disappointing evening for Boroughmuir Bears in terms of Edinburgh Derby and local bragging rights, having lost out to Heriots, but Graham Shield, I'm sure, will remain upbeat and will know the task in hand as he looks to further fixtures in the coming weeks to try and arrest the disappointment of the result tonight. But 1 win from 3 then for Boroughmuir. Those fixtures this weekend, Ayrshire Bulls against the Southern Knights, of course Stirling Wolves also taking on Heriot. So plenty of FOSROC Championship rugby to come between now and tomorrow afternoon at 5, with the final match of the weekend of Series 3, and of course watching on with interest the FOSROC future side, of course, of a weekend off. But from myself, Stuart McFarlane, and from my co-commentator Tom Brown, thank you very much for tuning in this evening. I hope you've enjoyed the coverage, and remember, those 2 games, you'll be able to catch them live, or certainly highlights of those games over the course of the weekend. But from the 2 of us, thank you for watching, and goodbye from now.